Sorry about that. The video chopped off. Apparently 30 minutes is the max. Now I know. Yes, you humble yourself to the sacrifice of him, and by doing so, you'll be set free. You will literally be free. My spirit has never felt so alive since that day when I was saved. And it sounds corny, but I don't need to turn to vices like booze, sex, women, alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, all this other crap that the world feeds into to feed their void of emptiness that Christ can fill. That's what they don't get. That's where I get so frustrated and sad for this world. Turn on the news. Just turn on. You'll see another person died, this and that. Oh, pastor does this. Like, they'll do anything they can to make this world look like it's the most evil place in the world. But what? This is God's territory. This is the Most High's world. He's impacting it, but so is Lucifer. As I said, in the spiritual world, the realm, the war is going on. It's every day. It really is. And I don't think a lot of people understand that, really. And yeah, I get people make fun of me all the time. They say, oh, I don't believe in a flying spaghetti meatball monster, or I don't believe in fairy tales, or yeah, your God can go shove it. Like, all these incredibly hurtful, cynical things have been said to me. But let me read you an amazing passage that comes with the territory. In Matthew 5:10, 10 through 12 in New King James Version, says, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when they revile and persecute you, and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so they persecuted the prophets who were before you." Christ also mentions in the scriptures, he says that they hated me, for they hated you. I think that's what it was. Basically that because I represent him and I want to stand for the good of the world, I will be hated because he was hated first. Do you get that? He was hated first, so in turn, everybody else that bears their cross, and it's not an easy journey, folks. I'm going to get into it in a second. It is not an easy journey. Just because you're saved does not mean that your life is going to get any easier. It's going to be more peaceful with your spirit because you don't need money. You don't need to chase after the wind, as Ecclesiastes clearly states. What's the other one? It says, there's another really good one in there. If I can find it. Here it is right here. I got it actually open. It says in Ecclesiastes 11, "As goods increase, so do those who consume them. What benefits are they to the owners except to feast their eyes on them? The sleep of a laborer is sweet, whether they eat a little or much. But as for the rich, their abundance permits them no sleep." That's crazy. If you read the whole passage of Ecclesiastes, which I have, I'm working on it a second time, it specifically talks about how a king went from being top dog, everything in the world he could physically want, didn't want anymore. It's chasing the wind. Us chasing after money, fame, fortune, all this nonsense that's worldly crap thrown at us does not matter. When death comes to your door and you are at Judgment Day, the Father is not going to care at all that you were president of this company. He's not going to care that you donated all these charities and made a big deal about it. He's not going to care that you helped this person. I mean, yeah, it's great, but no good works. This is the point I'm getting at. I went off a little bit. No good works will save you, is what I'm getting at. It's the truth. Nothing we do is good enough except for that grace that we can obtain through humility. That sacrifice that Christ made on that cross that day. It changed me forever, and millions of other people have converted as well. The Bible is the most sold book in history, folks. That's a big deal. It's a huge deal. That's like a thumbs up kind of thing for God in Christ. I'm rambling there, but whatever. But so, yeah, that's the point I'm trying to drive home, though, is that it's done me a world of good. It really has, and it'll do you a world of good as well. Now, let me give you a bit more context with stories. So, I was a food sample specialist for Crossmark in Walmart Supercenters. I was giving out the free food and drinks. I'd be like, hey, try a free sample. No, get away from me. Okay, geez, sorry. Had to get some tough skin for that one. But so, I remember there was a supervisor I met in the back of the lunchroom where, as I talked about my How to Be Happy and a Good Person video before I was truly saved by Christ's blood, I'm so bummed I didn't mention him as much as I should have back in that video. Father, forgive me for that. But it impacted enough lives. As I said before in that video, those are good people working there. Just because they work at Walmart does not mean anything. Just keep that in mind. But so, I was talking to this woman. She goes, whoa! There's something about you that's just, oh my goodness. And I'm thinking, huh? Like, her and I are talking about the scriptures, and so I found out she's a Christian. My friends all, like, I'm a Bible thumper. Sorry, guilty. You get me talking about Jesus or God, I'm all over it, man. I'm done. Let's go. She's like, ooh, there's something about you that's just different. That's just it, folks. That's what we're called to be. In Matthew, it says, from Jesus' words, we are called to be salt to the earth. My pastor in the past worded this as, we are supposed to, so to speak, burn people's subconscious souls so deep by our good fruits and our efforts of trying to act like Christ would, being a light to the darkness, that we piss them off. We get them mad. We get them frustrated. We get them questioning everything that they believe and stand for. It's a big deal. And by doing this, we stand out. We are standing out to be persecuted. We are standing out to be ridiculed and humiliated and attacked. And that's okay. That's a blessing. Blessed are those who are persecuted in his name. That's an amazing thing. It doesn't seem like it. It didn't at the time for me. But that is a really amazing thing. We are called in Matthew to build our treasures in heaven, not on earth, because moths and thieves can attack them. Meaning, all these treasures and riches that the elite world leaders are hoarding for themselves because they're selfish and greedy and are serving Lucifer most likely, they don't get it. You're supposed to share that abundance with everyone. You're supposed to cater to the poor. The church is supposed to be helping out the poor. They're supposed to be getting down in the trenches and getting dirty. They're supposed to be letting people in, letting the gays in, letting the sinful idolaters in, letting all these people in that Jesus hung out with. They're supposed to be setting an example, but instead, we're pushing them off to the side and treating them like they're garbage. We are making it seem like we are God's gift to the world and they are nothing. And I am here to tell you that's a lie. I am no better than you. I just bear my cross and I do it proudly. We are called to, what is the scripture? God, I'm losing my mind here. We are called to not be ashamed of the gospel. And that's one thing I'm not ashamed of. I subtly throw it in every video through my actions, my fruits, and saying, God bless, have a blessed day. Because I sincerely mean it. I want every video, everything I do, to represent the Most High and His Son in the best manner possible. That is my goal. Not to become famous, like a famous drummer like I wanted to be in the past. Not to obtain worldly desires and riches beyond my belief. Because honestly, that's not a fulfilling life. Look at Hollywood. Look at every single famous person. Divorces out of the wazoo. Drug overdoses left and right. Alcoholics. None of them have Jesus. And that's the key thing I'm getting here, is that if you keep turning away from Him, that is what your life will end up like. It's a blessing that you're poor. It's a blessing that you don't have an abundance of crap that you don't need. Look at all these famous people with mansions. Supposedly those mansions signify the emptiness in their minds and their hearts. They're so alone. They live in mansions that have nobody in them. That's, woohoo. A little help is needed there. Y'all need Jesus is so true. I'm sorry. It is so true. It's a little mocked, but I get it. You know, it's kind of funny at the same time. But, yeah. So, that was a fun little rant. Another story. So, I was in a band called the Seven Sages. filled with a lot of Christians that, like myself, struggle with a lot of vices. There's where drugs, booze, and lustful temptations, we'll say. And I was called to be a light in the darkness in there. We became great friends. Had a couple backstabbing people in there, which I will not mention names because it's not a spite them video. Get that? But we would talk about the Bible. We would talk about God. And when two or more are gathered, church is in session, folks. That's a wonderful thing. When it's in His name or Christ's name, we are in the church. The church is not a physical building. We were never instructed to build a church and worship it, and seal everybody else out. We are not called to do that. We are called to get in the trenches, get our hands dirty, and start saving some lives. Start planting those seeds. Befriend the people that need it most, that are broken. Do you understand? This is something the church is not doing, and it brings tears to my eyes thinking about it. In this band, I was coming home from band practice. I was going to sleep over at my parents' house for the night. My mom told me, Danny, don't do it. Don't do it. It is snowing out. It's going to be pouring snow soon. It's going to be a big storm. Don't do it. I don't want you to get hurt or get killed. My arrogance and pride got the best of me. I said, nah, I'll be fine. Mom, it's like 40 minutes. I'm good. Like halfway there, I'm sorry. I was going to Kutztown. Not home. I'm sorry. I was going from band practice to college to go back to my dorm. My apologies. And I got foolish. So what did I do? I get caught in this dark forest at like 1 a.m. It starts snowing hard. I get lost. My GPS takes me to this dark alley kind of forest area. And then it didn't tell me, but there was a humongous hill. Huge hill that I went flying down. I was going like 60 on like a 25. That's smart. And there was black ice. For those of you that don't know what black ice is, it's ice at night on the road. You can't see it. And I was pumping my brakes. My car started to slowly go. And as I slowly started to realize that I'm pumping my brakes, I'm like, what's going on? My life flashed before my eyes, folks. This is the second car accident I was in, by the way. Literally watched my life flash before my eyes. I'm going down this hill screaming, prepared to die. And that's a terrifying feeling. Literally about to die. About to crash into a house. And what happened? I crashed. Car's totaled. It's gone. Phone was blown to bits. All over the place. Drums were a little damaged. Some of the hardware was damaged, but the drums are actually fine. Yeah, praise the Lord on that one. The cymbals were in great shape. A little bruised. But my impact was saved because of a 90-degree angle of concrete when coming down the hill. The inertia was stopped. That impact would have killed me. I was inches away from an electrical box that could have ignited and blew up the gas fumes and killed me and blew me up into flames, truthfully. That's something to think about. Now, mind you, I'm in a dark place. I have no idea where I'm at. Freaking out. I'm scared. I'm alone. Nobody's around. If this wasn't God, I don't know what was. There was a woman that saw me crash 3 minutes beforehand. She came down to my rescue. Christian too. You know how that works. He does it in these little crazy ways. So beautiful though at the same time. And she helped me. She got all my stuff. She called police, fire brigade, all that stuff. They wanted to take me to the ER. I was like, yeah, I know how that works. I'm not paying $500 to enter. Thank you. I'm good. A couple bruises. I'm set. So takes me back to her house. I meet her husband. Bandages me up. Give me food, water. Takes all my stuff back to Kutztown. End of story. Unscathed overall, though. I could have died. I was saved, but I could have died. That was the Father saying, not done with you yet. So keep that in mind. Whenever you want to end it, He's not done with you yet. So that's another great example. Now, here's a really deep one that I talked about in my narcissistic abuse video. Once again, link will be down in the description below. I dated a woman, first real girlfriend, changed my world forever in the best and worst ways possible. She was a narcissist. And out of respect, I'm not going to use her name, but we met, hit it off great. She was praising me, giving me all this love and affection that I never received in my lifetime, and she won me over very fast. She said she was a Christian. I ate it up like candy, man. I'm just like, yes, this is perfect. Little did I know, it was probably Lucifer working his little deceitful ways to give me my worldly desires and have me go away from the truth. So, at the same time, we weren't praying together. We weren't reading the Bible together. I even would talk to her, be like, "Hon, did you pray? Did you read the scriptures?" She'd get all offended. "Of course I did. Well, how could you say that? Like, did you go to church?" Like, things like that. And we were unyoked. The scriptures clearly state that if you are a strong believer and you are dating a non-believer, it's very risky, because if you wed and get married, the potential of you losing your faith is high. Granted, you could save them and plant some seeds and they could change their ways. However, I learned through that relationship, it's not the way to do it. You do not want to change somebody. That's not your job. I had a pastor in a sermon once when I went with my grandparents to church a couple of years back say, it's not our job to save people. It's our job to plant the seeds. It's our job to bring awareness to the truth. Not shove it down their throats. Just bring it up. Build friendships and camaraderie with these people. And then talk about it later on, kind of thing. Which is what we should be doing. Not screaming outside of colleges and streets, "Jesus is the truth, you're going to burn in hell." That is not the way to go about it, folks. It's not. It's not what Jesus did. He hung out with everybody. I have friends of all different beliefs. Buddhist, atheist, agnostic. It's just crazy, man. So now, I'm going to give you another story that is another really crazy one. So, I had a band that the Lord tested me in called Cloak. They were a metal Viking metal band. Loved it. It was so cool. It was so different. It got me out of my element of comfort, and it really made me become a better musician. I learned double bass, and I had to humble myself and get better at it real quick. It was a lot of fun, man. We worked really hard, 2 practices a week. I'm driving an hour there and back. Like, it was an intense commitment. I remember all of them were atheists. One of them was a satanic follower. He followed the Baphomet Bible, Satanic Bible. I kid you not. I was constantly harassed daily when I see them about my faith, that I love Jesus or Yeshua. I love my Bible. I pray. I believe in God. The whole 9 yards. All of it. Constantly attacked. Funny thing is, like most unbelievers, like myself back then, they pick your brain with many questions because deep down inside, they want something more out of their lives. And I remember spending hours with these people, of them asking me a million questions on how, "You weren't from the church and you became a Christian? What the? It's usually backwards. You're in the church and you get out." I understand both sides. Now, it was not the case for me though, because I was more so agnostic, atheist, to becoming a new man in Christ. And they couldn't understand it. They couldn't wrap their heads around it. I remember we were getting really close to this big music festival. And we were going to be, not headlining, we were way down on the list, but it was an honor to be there if we were going to actually be doing this tour. I prayed about it because it was promoting a movie that was about Satan, basically. About selling your soul to the devil and obtaining fortune from it, which is real. Jesus, when it said it in the scriptures, let me find it real quick actually. What good is it for someone to gain the whole world yet forfeit their soul? Why would he say that? I'm sorry, he says it in Mark 8:36 for those that want it. Why would he say that if it wasn't true? It's happening all over and people have no idea. They think it's a joke. Eminem, I sold my soul to the devil, I'll never get it back. Sorry, it's a real thing. And I was having a hard time because all these bands were satanic. up above, the really high ones, all these upside down crosses, all these pentagrams, all these things that the church doesn't even know about. They preach, but when you bring up the really deep spiritual stuff, they have no clue. They don't know what Baphomet is. They don't know what Malak is. They don't know, even though it's in the scriptures, they don't know what sacrificing rituals are. Like, this is the dark stuff, and I apologize, but it's part of the importance as to why I stand so strongly for what I believe and why I'm against Lucifer and his army so strongly. Because he's a very sick individual, and anybody that follows him, it's not a good thing. So I prayed, and lo and behold, they actually kicked me out of the band. They said, "This isn't working, Dan. Sorry. Bye. See ya." That was it. They kicked me out. That was the biggest blessing in disguise I've seen in a long time. God wanted me there to spread a light to the darkness and plant the seeds. That's what I did. When you're called by the Father to go, you go. Scriptures show that over and over and over. I believe it was in Job that did it too. Don't quote me on that one. But that's another big story right there. Then we have the singer of Flyleaf, Lacey Sturm. So she was having this tiny little acoustic show with her husband. 6 hours up, no, probably 4 hours up past us in PA. And I told my mom, like, let's go see her. We gotta see her. Like, they're disbanded. They don't play anymore. It's rare she goes out to play. So we went out. A tiny little church, man. Tiny little humble church. Kids running around everywhere. It's a beautiful setting. Her big tour bus is in the back. Just, you didn't even see it until she came out with her husband. And she sang. She did her testimony like I'm doing. And then she sang beautifully. And if you haven't listened to Flyleaf, go listen to it. And her new stuff of Lacey Sturm's new album, off the charts. So I met her afterwards. I was freaking out, but I was nervous. And I met her. I was like, I got to do this. So, there we go. But yeah, I met her. And I come up to her. I'm like, "Oh, Lacey, I'm a big fan. Like, I'm Danny. I love your work. Like, you've done so much for me. Your love for Jesus is just contagious." She's like, "Oh, thank you, Danny. It's nice to meet you too." And she tells me the most random thing. She goes, "You're a good leader." I said, "Huh? What do you mean?" She goes, "I don't know." She's like, "It's something God wanted me to tell you. He wanted me to tell you that you're a great leader and you're going to be a great leader." I was crying. Like, afterwards, I was crying. I was so in my head. How could that happen, folks, if there wasn't a God? How? There's no way that would have happened. Some could be ignorantly rude about it and be like, "Oh, you're delusional, and she's just buttering you up because she's famous." Possibly, but there's too many circumstances otherwise. There really is no reason for her to lie. And that made me feel special, though. It made me feel like the Father is talking to me, which he does through other spirits all the time. And he'll use us as vessels to get to other people, to help them, and to deliver messages and important details. That was one of them I needed to hear, because through my my big discovery of conspiracy theories, really dark stuff I'm not going to get into, I discovered this truth is so real, it's scary. And if you research the enemy's side, which we should in any battle, you should know your enemy's movements as well as yours. You research it, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Like the all-seeing eye, like the pyramids, Egypt, Babylonian occult practices. It's a big thing. Nobody knows about this in the church, though. They think you're crazy. It's a lukewarm church. That's what the churches are becoming. So now, I saw her a couple times, though, and she's amazing, by the way. Go see them. So next up, I'm going to tell you the story of how I met my drum teacher. It's pretty awesome.